Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives right after recent important news. With us today, I'm happy to have again Bernard Tudillon. He's Chairman and CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources. They trade on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the stock symbol HPQ, in Frankfurt under UGE. Now, for those of you who are new to the story, and that's going to be a lot of you, but HPQ has also got a lot of fans around North America. HPQ is planned to become a vertically integrated and diversified metallurgical grade and solar grade silicon metal producer. All right, they're doing this by developing a disruptive, one-step, high purity and solar grade silicon metal manufacturing process, and they've proven this. The process will have a greatly decreased carbon footprint, energy footprint, and will eliminate the use of toxic chemicals, as well as significantly reduce costs for manufacturers and for consumers around the world. Here to talk about it is Bernard. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, George.
So the press release today, progress report confirms that Gen 2 can successfully operate under vacuum in semi-continuous feed mode. Now, I'm reading that. Sorry for everybody at home, but that's a mouthful, okay? Explain to everyone here the importance of operating successfully in semi-continuous feed mode.
Well, basically, it's just we've graduated from lab scale to start working on commercial scale, all right? Lab scale, thousands of great ideas and everything else. When you start producing in semi-continuous mode, you're starting to talk the language of commercialability. It's a tongueful. And that was one of our biggest thing we had to demonstrate. We never had any doubt we would do it because, you know, that's why we partner with Pyrogenesis. They do this on a regular basis. If you take a look at the quote of Peter, they've done this, you know. But the market and the serious people on this were always skeptical it could be done, and we've done it. So now that this is out of the way, now we can focus on increasing yield, increasing purity. That's fundamentally, that was the big number one threshold we had to say we could do it. And this is not something you do once. You have to make sure you do it multiple times, repeat it, feel comfortable with the results, start answering how the machine works. So we're happy with
that. This wasn't a one time, okay, we got it right once. So is commercial scalability, is it safe to say then, Bernard, that commercial scalability is no longer a concern or an issue anymore for you, and it's just a case of how large you want to scale?
Yeah, in a certain way, the question mark has now changed from can we do it to what's the right size for what we want to attain. And that's what this press release says. You know, we've gone from can you to okay, now let's start working on the parameters of the machine, the results and everything else to figure out, okay, what's the, you know, what are the optimum operating range for our pure VAP process for us to attain our objective, which is normal. You know, this is 100% normal. First step is to say,
but this is good news. Like that's a good question.
This is not even good news. This is excellent news. Okay, it's like forget the word good news. This is, I've talked to people in the solar industry, in the green energy and everything else, and the big issue is there's thousands and thousands and thousands of great lab ideas, okay, and they just can't graduate where we've graduated. Okay, the reason why we've been able to do this so quickly is because that was Pyrogenesis vision since the beginning. They don't get involved in a project unless they believe that they can scale it up. But the market is sort of a show me market. So we're showing them.
Sure, of course.
We can scale this up. Okay. We've shown once that we can scale it up in the vacuum of Gen 1 to the maximum level. So we've already shown that the process theoretically can be scaled up. But the next scale of scalability is, can you operate the system in a semi-continuous feeding mode. And the next machine is going to be a continuous feeding mode, automation, and everything else. So it's normal progression toward the goal.
Now, could that be a stumbling block, or because of what you've done so far, in a lab, semi-continuous, does continuous represent a major hurdle for you, or is that you're pretty confident given what's happened?
No, because the pure VAP is a scaled model of the bigger machines, okay? As opposed to the lab scale, which is a lab machine, all right? So it's a modified lab machine, but it's still a laboratory machine. This is a miniature model of the big model. So now we've proven that it can be converted from the lab machine, which, and the other machine, which don't resemble each other at all. We've basically said that Gen 1 is now basically, should go for the laboratory, for the museum. The Gen 2 is really, it's the beginning of a commercial machine.
Let's talk about a couple of other numbers that you put out there. And I'm going to read this again and again because it's technical. I'm not going to pretend it's off my head. You achieve significantly higher production yield, 470% more than the Gen 1, and production rate, 2,200% more. How big are those numbers? I mean, they sound really big. How big are those numbers in terms of indicating that you're on the right track?
They're just indicators that it's working. But we're at the beginning of the testing phase. That's what we see in the press release. We know that there's massive room for more improvement, and we know how to get those improvements. It's like anything else. If you get a sports car, okay, and it's the first model you don't start driving it at 300 miles an hour on the first freaking, when you get the keys. You start figuring out everything else. When you design an airplane, right? You design an airplane, you do everything else. They don't start flying at the maximum capacity. They start testing everything to make sure everything works correctly, and it's giving you the result you expect to have if you do those type of things. And that's exactly what the machine did. And that's what's so significant with those reports, is those results are exactly in line with what we expected to have. Might seem like a mind-numbing concept, but that's really what's important. They're not outside of the parameters of what we're expected. They're exactly in line with the parameters we expected, so we're exactly on the track that we wanted to follow.
And on the note where you said, the market was waiting for this or expecting this, in your quote, you said the market doesn't understand. I'm just paraphrasing. The market doesn't understand the nature of what you've got, but it's after hours. Stock was up 20% on almost 2 million shares of volume. So do you think the market's got it now, or is getting it?
No, it's barely starting to understand what it is, okay? And when we say the market, okay, we also mean that we're now in a position where we can start to talk to institutional investors. We've been ongoing, but now we have something even more concrete to talk about. So we can be, we're starting to have the goods, but do they fully understand the potential? No, nobody fully understands the potential. We have a damn good idea how big it is. But, and
I want to play devil's advocate, though, on something, because when I read this press release, I'm going to read this part again. The largest, you achieved the largest individual sample of SI produced to date, 8.5 grams, which is 8 times more than what you produced with the Gen 1. So, and then total mass of the SI was 11.5 times greater than the average top 20 results on Gen 1. So these sound like big numbers, again, and they're good. They're good. But I'm going to play devil's advocate because maybe people are thinking this at home. Here you're talking about 8.5 grams. But you've got to get to the point, your plan is to get to the point where you're producing tons and tons of this. So, if I don't know you, I'm reading this at home, is it too early to really celebrate here? Because you talk about 8.5 grams when you really need to get to tons? No,
it's not too early. It's the right time to celebrate because, as I tell you, that's what we expected at this moment. All right. What people probably don't realize is we got very, very excited at the beginning, and when everybody got Google Eye and everything was taking off, we were making like nothing. Okay, but it proved the concept worked. All right. Now it may look like we're doing nothing, but from when we started to where we are, it's fantastic because it's exactly in line on the growth path that we're looking for. Okay, it's within the parameters of everything else. So it's exactly where we expected it. We know what to do to increase it. As I told you, you don't start everything else going crazy. You play with one parameters and everything else. This machine makes us work on multiple parameters at the same time. So exactly what we expect. This is why it took us, we waited until we had those many tests to do before we issued a press release, because that's the way research and development is done, okay? So it might not look big, but from where we're started, it's massive, okay? And it's exactly on line to where we're going. We know what the machine is supposed to give us, okay? And we know where we are on the development of the machine. At one point, that machine will have reached the maximum yield it can do, okay? Not the maximum yield that the process can give us, but the maximum yield that machine can do. And once that point is, when that threshold has been done, then we switch over to purity, because what does the Gen 1 result told us, okay? It's that yield has a big impact on the purity because of our system. Because whatever isn't converted into silicon metal basically is volatile. So in a certain way, our process purifies, but at the same time it concentrates. So as we get up to yield, it means we're on the right track to have the normal yield that we should be expecting. So the short of it is, yeah, it might not look big, but it's very important. You know, every big distance starts with the first steps, and these are the first steps. Okay, if the first steps you do are backward, you're never going to reach your goal.
But confidence is high. Like when you got these results back, give us in one word the adjective that describes, you know, how you and Patrick felt when you actually saw the actual results themselves.
Well, our excitement was seeing the machine working, being able to work 10 hours, doing continuous feeding, and getting those type of numbers. Because we knew that this is just the beginning, okay? For us, knowing the machine works is what excites us the more. To know that we're within the expectation, right? That's what made us very excited. The numbers for us is sort of irrelevant because it's just a number on a way to, okay? So one result was less, this result was less, this result was different. We know how much more we're doing compared to the same thing. So for us, it's a combination of all results. You know, there's no eureka moment. There is, the funny thing is, when you write those type of press release, you first get the engineer report, which is sort of like blah and cold and like, I'm going to turn something, I'm going to make this, it's raw data. Then you start working on them and you start writing a press release and you start being able to extract what is the key point. And then everybody goes, oh, wow, this is really good. And that's really what it is, because the engineer you got to remember, the engineer's brains are like 10 times better than ours when it comes to this concept and understanding it. So for them, they're completely excited and they're going crazy over there of excitement.
There's the one word adjective I was waiting for. Excited. Okay. That's the question. Give me one word. And you gave about 800.
You know me, I'm French. I can't give a one word answer. It's impossible. It's not within my vocabulary.
You know I got to tease you. Hey, and here's what I really love, and I'm going to read this, because with this great data, and of course, HPQ now has fantastic credibility, but I'm a huge fan of third-party validation. Mm-hmm. And Peter Pascali, who's the president of Pyrogenesis, said the following, and it's a big excerpt, so I just took out snippets, but you get the idea. And for everyone at home, this is what excites me. We're pleased to join HPQ in announcing this significant milestone with respect to the scaling up of the PureVap process. We have a track record of successfully taking new concepts from lab to commercialization. You've seen that in pods, waste destruction technology, which has been adopted by the U.S. Navy, and more importantly, the recent proprietary DROS-Rite system, which has become a commercial phenomenon. And then he goes on to say, we believe that simultaneously converting quartz into high-purity silicon metal using a plasma arc within a vacuum furnace in a semi-continuous feeding mode is the beginning of another such success. That, for me, was huge, because you're talking about pods, which have been, adopted by the U.S. Navy and sitting on aircraft carriers, which is the most expensive real estate in the history of the world, and they're on there, and all their other systems. So that really got me excited. How did you feel about Peter putting in, because that's a strong, powerful validation?
I was very, very happy, but it's exactly what we believe in. That just translates why we did this deal, okay? Why we've been pushing so aggressively since the beginning, all right? Because Peter and I, we both have the vision that the pure VAP can be something huge, and we're doing it. Right. So it's just putting into word what we knew since the beginning, okay? And as we get more and more of these types of results, which are basically milestones being reached and us moving forward, we're just going to keep repeating that to everybody. But we've been very, very confident since the beginning of this project, since we decided to launch ourselves in building a pilot plant after preliminary results of at lab scale that proved the concept worked. Once we knew the concept worked, we immediately decided to go from the concept is working to let's show that this can be done commercially. And now with Apollon into the pictures, we're going further. Okay, we're gonna go all the way to making solar cells, and we're gonna prove again to the world that a metallurgic way can be done to produce as efficient solar cell as it is the other process, much cheaper, much greener. That's what we're doing.
I'll tell you, there might have been a lot of naysayers months ago saying you're crazy, but given the press release.
Oh, they're still going to say I'm crazy now. It's irrelevant.
Given Peter's comments, given the fact that Apollon has joined the team, right? Mm-hmm. That tells me everything I need to know. People at home got to make their own decision. But to me, Apollon joins the team. PyroGenesis was on the team from the beginning. Now they're saying this is going to be another commercial success for all of you, similar to what they've already achieved. I got to tell you, I was ecstatic about today. I'm going to leave you with this. No more questions because we talk a lot. What's next? What can everyone expect? Because it's been a while. We have the holidays, obviously. So what's next and what can shareholders expect in terms of developments and timelines over the next, couple of months?
Expect sort of the unexpected. Now the fun part is the machine. Well, it is. The machine is working, okay? So, see, we had this issue with the Gen 1, okay? We reached a point of limit, okay? And we sort of got stuck where we couldn't do any more work with that machine. So we had this long period where we were thinking, okay, how do we advance this? How can we do this? What can we do? What can we gain? As we were discussing the situation with Apollon. Now we got the Gen 2 and it's working. And we haven't reached the full potential of the Gen 2. So whereas we're going to reach the full potential of the Gen 2. And people have to remember that the Gen 2 is a scaled down model of the pilot plant. So whatever we're doing there, we're learning what we need when we're going to start the bigger machine. So, they're doing what? 1, 2, 3 tests a week. That's what I'm telling you. Expect the unexpected. I don't control the test results. They come out.
I love it. I'm gonna leave it there.
That's it. They say that was, see, when you do an R&D project, when you have no R&D going, it's sort of boring. Well, now we got a testing going on.
All right, so you heard from Bernard, expect the unexpected, but you've seen what the HPQ's been able to achieve over the last year and a half. This story is just getting started. I love it, but you've got to do your own due diligence. Thanks for joining us, Bernard. As always, you've been watching Bernard Tourillon. He's Chairman and CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources. I implore you to do your due diligence. Find them at Agoracom, go to their hub, punch in the stock similar name, take a look at all the information we got there, watch all the interviews, especially the last few, to get caught up to speed if you're new. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange on the stock symbol HPQ, and for our friends in Germany on Frankfurt under UGE. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this one because I love it. Have a great day. Do your due diligence. Talk to you soon.